Hello everybody, welcome back. It's Cape Rugby TV time. And for those of you that thought we are slowing down, well, no. As you know, Club Rugby is 12 months of the year now. Everybody's busy. Big thanks, of course, to our partners on board with us. Score Energy Drinks, official provider of the Western Province Club Rugby and the Western Province Club Rugby Sevens. And of course, MChem 24-hour pharmacy down on the corner of N1 and Durban Road. In studio with me, welcome back, Jonathan van der Walt.
Cheers, JP. Thanks for having me. Lucky to be here again.
You're looking very neutral today, Mania. Normally we see you in a false bay shirt. Nice to have you back.
Yeah, thank you. I have a lot more spare time on hands now that the season is done. And just almost looking forward to the holidays.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to finding out about it because it's been a big year and we want to get your opinion on 2022. Jerome Parvata, welcome back.
Yeah, JP, good to be back.
Yeah.
And as you say, it seems like we're picking up now in December. Not slowing down.
Well, that's the thing is, just when we think things are slowing down, we find out everybody's speeding up. But it just goes to show the different dimensions of rugby. I mean, it's not just about match day. It's off-season, it's referees, it's coaches, it's education, administration, a whole lot of things going on.
Yeah, clubs are playing, varsities are playing, so it's good. Still some action.
Yeah, John, I mean, you guys, False Bay, had an excellent season, but from your experience, the guys didn't take a very long break and straight back on the park.
Yeah, again, the club rugby kind of calendar is 12 months all year round, and it's very consistent. So I know the first team would have had a bit of a break after they won the league on the 24th of September, but the rest of the club have started up and they've been going for 4 weeks already. So they've had a good month of the off season, and now they'll have a small break for the holiday festive side, and come first week in Jan they'll be hitting their straps again.
And how much of a for the players and the members, how much momentum did they get after winning club champs?
Geez, how much momentum the players get? I think the guys have been going for so long. Everybody had a rough time, through the COVID years and through coming out of that, and we didn't have a league for 2 years. So, but everyone trained and remained positive and trained. So I think the guys are more just very relieved towards the end and very happy that obviously all the hard work had paid off in the end.
So the fans walking around saying, "Well, we're the champions."
The guys did celebrate for a number of weeks. I think the trophy is probably still doing the rounds in some guys' bedrooms or some of their houses. But it is nice, and I'm super happy for those guys, and they flipping kind of deserve everything that they get because a lot of them put in a lot of time and hard work.
All right, folks, I've got Jono with me, Jerome is with me. We are focusing tonight primarily on the Western Province Club Rugby players that are now getting ready for some fixtures for next year. And of course, some of the teams are also preparing for the Varsity Cup. In other words, UCT, UWC. So there's quite a mix of training happening at the moment. UCT played against Oxford University last week. Jerome, is it right? Oxford University. And then, of course, now in this week, you guys have played Chuckers against UWC. So that's going to be our focus tonight. So I'll get Jono and Jerome to give me their input, but let's go straight away then. Last week's match, UCT getting ready for the Varsity Cup, and this was in their practice match against visitors Oxford. This feature was brought to you by MChem 24-hour pharmacy and Score Energy Drinks. This feature was brought to you by MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy and Score Energy Drinks. All right, welcome back, folks. Right, Jerome, tell us about that. Oxford University, coming to South Africa, coming to Cape Town. Is this all about practice? Are we inviting teams from around the world to come and enjoy the gears in Cape Town?
Yeah, look, I know obviously people from overseas now, this time of the year, it's very cold there. So they obviously come enjoy themselves in the sun here a bit, and they have some fun with the rugby. But I think they also planning and preparing for next year, like our varsity cups. So yeah, and they've been here now for 2 weeks. I think they leaving soon. Yeah, and they played against Marties and now obviously against UCT.
Yeah, Jono, let's get your input on that. I mean, from a rugby perspective, looking at that, UCT is obviously getting ready for Varsity Cup. I mean, you guys played against UCT, Falsburg played against UCT on a number of occasions in the season. Your thoughts on what UCT is looking like now compared to season, and will they be ready for Varsity Cup?
Yeah, I think it's great for the varsities to kind of get a hit out now. They might have been a little bit nervous because you don't want to really pick up any injuries before your campaign starts in Feb. Normally they would start playing games in January. But for them to get one in December for a touring side, I don't think it's a bad idea. They would have already had a bit of a training block, maybe between 4 and 6 weeks already. I doubt it was the strongest UCT team out possible. I can see a few of the fringe guys also playing in the mix. So it's also a nice chance for the coaches to give to kind of look at their depth, and then maybe have 1 or 2 players put up their hands ahead of next year's campaign.
So how important is player management at this stage? I mean, you're now, Jerome, maybe you want to come in as well. You're pretty much now mid-December. Probably have a bit of a short break, maybe a week or 2 if I understand it correctly. But you're about 6 weeks out from your first games for Varsity Cup and so on. Do you start resting players? Do you start looking at your squad? What are the coaches working on now?
Look, I think a lot of them, like you can see the UCT side is not their strongest side. So a lot of universities want to look at new players, and also because the guys play so much rugby, so they don't want to risk their sort of main players because injuries kick in now, and if it's bad, then it can take 2 to 3 months for that injury to heal. So I think they managing their players accordingly.
So Jono, from a physical point of view, are the guys now more skills or strength and conditioning?
It'll be a mixture, especially at this time of the year. You are a few weeks out, so there is definitely still a bit of bulk and strength that one can gain over this period. So they will definitely mix. Again, it'll be full conditioning, all body skills attack, and obviously to kind of prepare for a game like this, they would have to have obviously focused on a lot of other facets of the game as well. So your scrum, line out, set piece. So they would have varied, especially a lot of their training, which is normally they would just be kind of used to maybe skills and conditioning at this point of the season.
All right, folks, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the second half there between Oxford University and UCT. We'll talk more about the Varsity Cup. We'll shortly be talking more to Jerome about his players and the club rugby guys that are getting ready. They played against UWC yesterday. We're back here after the break. Don't go away. Welcome back, everybody. It's Cape Rugby TV time. In studio with me, Jonathan van der Walt and Jerome Parvater. We're having a bit of... I've always said, Jerome, that we have our best conversations between the breaks. But if we think about it now, 12 years later, the show's still going strong, and it's quite a lot of fun in club rugby.
Maybe we can ask Rangel to just one show just to play all the...
Make some bloopers and videos.
You're not a funny person, but it seems funny when you talk.
Jonathan van der Walt's in studio with us. But I mean, if we talk about that for a second, that is what club rugby is about, John. It's about the gears, the spirits. You're only playing rugby for 80 minutes in a week. The rest is about keeping everybody connected and having a joy.
That's all of us are still involved in this game many years down the line because of the passion that we have. So yes, of course you do the bit on the field, but it's certainly off the field, a little bit of banter, little jokes, little stories. It's kind of what makes everything go around.
And do you find, I mean, you quite often mention to me that in the, call it like the networking circles, you've got players and friends who you met through the world of rugby. Either you played together or you worked together or on the field at a club, and then you take that outside of that space, and you maybe get involved in business, maybe get involved in some social sports activities. This is the extension as well.
All sports. Of course, our one just happens to be rugby, but all sports have got a great networking kind of feature that comes with, because people are social and they interact. Our sport, which is the best sport, which is rugby, is just even better because we share that camaraderie on the field, and when we're off the field, we like to help out guys that we've played with and against to try and keep that kind of community and that network going.
Yeah, I mean, Jerome, you've been involved with rugby now for, probably, I don't know, more than 100 years. Have you made up a network of friends? I mean,
to be exact, JP, 50 years in rugby. But
you're giving your age away now.
Yeah, no, it is what John was saying, and I mean, rugby, it's like you basically travel the world. When you go wherever in the country, you meet up with old rugby players, and you sit and you talk, and it's like yesterday when you see the guys, and you don't forget about that moments, and you share moments, and you talk, and it's fun, and it's jokes. And sometimes, like Jono says, sometimes you need something from someone, or some ex-player needs something from you, and we always help. It's like a community on its own.
But the other interesting element that I've also noticed with both of you guys is that over the time, you find a youngster, someone who's young, who starts playing rugby. And you guys as coaches have invested your time into this player. Now, 10, 20 years down the line, you see this person that has come through under your wing. They came through the ranks with you, and now that person is in business or somewhere else. That's also something special, is that you've added the value to someone who got involved, as you say, Jono, in sport, but their life has been shaped by the skills and values that you taught them on the field.
Again, JP, super. It's one of those things which I think is rugby. We call it obviously mentoring or mentorship. But it is super. I don't know if the word is gratifying or something quiet and humbling about it, where you can just see guys go on and do well and do better, and that's what life's all about. We come there, and if older guys can pass on their knowledge to some of the younger guys, and they can use it and make their life better, well then so be it.
Right, folks, well, we've got older guys and younger guys in the studio with me today, Jerome Parvard and Jonathan van der Walt. Let's take a look now at the second half highlights of UCT up against Oxford. We also managed to catch up, get an interview there with UCT coach Tom Dawson-Squibb. This feature was brought to you by MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy and Score Energy Drinks.
Oh, it's been good. We've enjoyed it. I mean, I think we started a little bit later than we did last year. Last year we felt we almost started too early and it dragged. So we found that we've got like a real energy. That was what have we been going 4 weeks on the field, and we had a hit out probably earlier than we would have liked to. We rested some guys who had played a lot of rugby this year, but it was so awesome to see some young guys. We gave man of the match to a guy who's in his first year out of school, and he ran out against Oxford. So we're happy. We know we got a lot of work to do. I mean, what have we got? Just over 2 months till the competition starts. So a lot of work to do, but excited with what we saw tonight. I think coaching cohesion makes a huge difference. Every year I've been here, this is my 4th campaign, we've had one change. So S&C went the first year, second year in S&C we changed the scrum coach. This year we changed our forward coach. Our previous guy went overseas, and so there's always one change, but the core has been there, and we get on well as a coaching group. We challenge each other, but we get on well, and there's some real characters in our coaching group. I could write a book on just the coaching group. Yeah, massively. I think we've got, what is it now? We've got another week, and then we're done for the Christmas break. And the guys they just got to keep fit, but they go on their own ways, and then we come back, and then 2.5, 3 weeks into it, we're playing against Marties at Donny Craven in a friendly, and that's actually a dress rehearsal for the first game of the comp. UCT versus Stellenbosch. I mean, geez, at this level of rugby, there's nothing better for us. So look, we're excited, but as I said, we know we've got work to do, and we got to connect the guys a bit, man. They've still got to find each other. That's the beauty of team sport. Like, they find each other, they learn about each other, but geez, there's no shortage of enthusiasm.
This feature was brought to you by MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy and Score Energy Drinks. All right, so UCT up against Oxford. Jono, quickly, how many more matches do you think UCT should have? Jerome has always said, play as much as you can. But how many more sort of matches like this? Should the matches get tougher before the Varsity Cup?
I believe that if you want to be competitive and win the Varsity Cup, it's all about, you need to peak at the right times, but you certainly have to have a mixture of a bit of an easy, medium and a hard hit out before you take on. We all know that the guys up in Joburg and Pretoria are always a little bit bigger than our guys, so you definitely want to test yourself physically. But you don't want to overplay your hand and do too much. So I think you need to find the right balance between some good training and being competitive, and then playing 1 or 2 key games and testing the depth in your squad before you play a campaign. Because obviously, as we know, you can be as good as you want in the opening games, but when it gets to those playoffs, that's when it really matters.
Yeah, and Jerome, UCT of course lucky there to have Tom there, a lot of experience, having worked with the Stormers. He was at UCT before as well. So they're in good hands to get ready for Varsity Cup.
Yeah, and I know Robbie Fleck is also helping there, which is, he has a lot of experience with Super Rugby, and an ex-player also played for UCT. So it's good to see that he's also giving back to UCT.
So it certainly looks like UCT's back to where they were 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I mean, anyway, folks, so we, I don't know if you guys want to jump in there, but they certainly look like. Folks, we're going to leave it at that. We're going to come back to you after the break when we're going to start taking a look at the match now. Some of the highlights, at least, from the Western Province Club Rugby Players squad up against the UWC. They played Chuckers at the High Performance Centre. Of course, UWC assistant coach JP Kellerman was there. We'll check out what we call Chuckers, and we'll ask Jono and Jerome more about that. Don't go away. Coming back after the break. Right, welcome back, everybody. It's great to have you along. Remember, you can watch Cape Rugby TV, on Cape Town TV, DSTV channel 263, and of course, free to air in Cape Town. And just for those of you that are watching right now, remember to get your set-top boxes, all right? But of course, Cape Town TV available on DSTV channel 263. And of course, Cape Rugby TV every Wednesday night, 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And of course, repeats on Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Jerome, the Club Rugby guys, we've been focusing on you guys now for about 6 weeks. I think we're into week 6 now already. But it's now, you're heading now towards game time.
Yeah, so we played our first sort of game chucker contact yesterday. So it is week 6. So we plan it to sort of, when we end off with a game. Yeah,
Jono, this chucker thing, which I think for people who are maybe watching the show and still getting a more knowledge of rugby, what is a chucker?
Okay, so chuck will be, it'll generally be 20 minutes, especially in our form. And you can decide, obviously, beforehand how it's going to go down, but generally what happens is we just say it's full rugby, full contact, full rules, but it's 20 minutes at a time. One, it's not as long and as impact on the players. Of course, there's no taking away a tackle or a scrum or a line out, but they get lots of breaks and the guys get to rest and the guys get to change positions and then go again. So it's not as you're just playing an 80-minute game, it's full and it's a lot taxing on the body. You know, generally between minutes 60 to 80, if you're not very fit and you're playing 80 minutes, that's where the cramps and the small injuries come in. Of course, unfortunately with rugby, you can't get away from the freak injuries in the contact area, but 20 minutes just has a little bit of a breather and a bit of a different, and it doesn't make it basically takes the edge off a game. So it's not kind of just rugby where obviously, you know, you still want to kill the guy opposite you, but it's not as serious, but you still get the actual contact element out of it, out of the exercise. So that's the purpose, and that's why we do chuckers pre-season, because you can have 4 chuckers at 20 minutes, which is an 80-minute game, but you can give a guy 20 minutes here and there, and everyone gets a bit of game time under their belts.
Yeah. All right, so folks, we've got a good explanation there of what a chucker is. We'll actually speak to Jerome more about that after this, but let's take a look now at with the Western Province Club Rugby guys who played against the UWC Chuckers then this Tuesday. This feature was brought to you by MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy and Score Energy Drinks. This feature was brought to you by MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy and Score Energy Drinks. Right, welcome back. It is, of course, Cape Rugby TV. Right, Jerome, tell us a little bit about that. Of course, you had your guys out there, because one of the questions that I wanted to ask you guys is, how often would you play chuckers? I mean, before, I think, Johnny, you kind of touched it on the what is a chucker and why a chucker, but how many chucker sessions would you do before you say, okay, now we need to do 80 minutes of match play or something like that?
Look, I would do, say pre-season, I wouldn't mind. I would do 5 sort of games with chuckers before you play, because it just gets your body contact ready. And last night, as Jono was explaining, so last night we decided we're not going to go full on scrums. We're going to go uncontested, because guys haven't really scrum.
Yeah.
So it's a safety
Yeah,
aspect.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you can decide on what. So yeah, as much as you can, chuckers. It's just get the body right. And like I would say, 4 weeks before the competition starts, you're going to
More
full
friendlies.
on and
Yeah.
plays. Yeah.
John, I mean, one of the I've never really seen in the club rugby space. We see a lot of clubs preparing for friendlies, but I've never really seen clubs saying, "Let's do chuckers."
Many years, do it long time, JP. We might not advertise it or put it out there, but you try to have, say, maybe local clubs,
Yeah.
like, because you don't want to travel too far. If it's in the evenings, guys, either at your club, wherever the case is, so it's not usually, even the spectators come down to watch. They want to see what's happening in the combinations.
Yeah.
But it isn't normal rugby. You are just getting used to the game, and sometimes we might not do scrums or lineouts because, you know, these days if you have a scrum, it's an extra 90 seconds to 2 minutes. So if you're going to have scrums, you're going to play no rugby and no one's going to get anything out of it. So that's why we have the small chuckers, but we'll always organise, like Jerome says, between 5 and 6 hit-outs like that. You can do it between first and second team, first and thirds, whatever the case is, or you can invite another club. It's important to do it just to get the body going, and then once you're ready for 40 minutes and 80 minutes, then you select your team.
Right, folks. For those of you that have been watching Cape Rugby TV for a very long time, you'll of course would be familiar with the name JP Kellerman. JP, of course, played at UWC for a long time, and he has also played at Kales River, and of course now involved in the coaching circles at UWC. Real stalwart of club rugby and a fantastic leader, and of course played in the blue and white hoops as well. We managed to catch up with JP after the game. This feature was brought to you by MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy and Score Energy Drinks.
Yeah, no, I think it was great just being back. Yeah, there was a lot of things happening, obviously via the Varsity Cup and the league as well. But I think for us, just touching on the prep for me, there was a lot of injuries and a lot of challenges that we have. But we needed a heat out, and we needed that physical contact. We needed scenarios which we saw today, and I think it was a good measuring tool for us to see exactly where we're at. Yeah, no, definitely it is a step up, and for us it's all about the tempo of the game changing, and for us we want to play a quick tempoed game, but in order to do that you need a specific skill set and you need specific conditioning, which today we actually saw where was the shortcomings. But for us as well, it's just creating the opportunities for the guys to play their natural game, and I think that is the identity that we would like to put out. We didn't tick all the boxes today, but at least we know what to work with going forward. Yeah, no, within our plan we always create opportunities and options that we want to play, especially we speak a lot about changing the picture and seeing the picture. So for us it's about that scenario plays, seeing the picture and what are you going to play, because we can drill something into you, but when the picture changes, are you going to make a different decision? So I think for us it's also difficult to say exactly what happened. We need to go back and look at the video before we can actually say, okay, this is the box we ticked, and that is the things we can work on. But I think it's just good to play again, for the guys to enjoy it, and also to see the physicality, because there was a very physical and a senior team that we played today. So I think it's a massive learning curve for the guys.
This feature was brought to you by MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy and Score Energy Drinks. Jerome, you've known JP Kellerman for a long time. Really a player that has come through the ranks. What a gentleman. A true leader in the club rugby space.
Yeah, and again, it's good that he's into coaching, and I mean coaching Varsity Cup. It's good, and it's, with his experience to help the youngsters is good, and especially there's not a lot of forwards coaches, and I mean JP, like you say, he came through the ranks. He played Western Province amateur teams, and he played in a few other Vodacom teams for Western Province, and I also know he played at Griquas, so a lot of experience. Yeah.
Folks, as you know, every week we go down to MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy, and in fact you can see it there behind me. This is on the corner of N1 and Durban Road. If you look a little bit behind me there, more or less where my hand is right now, there's a sign there that is prominent on the MChem building. This is on the corner of N1 and Durban Road in Bellville. So when you're driving down the N1, you will see that sign big and bold, and on it says 24 hours. It's a 24-hour pharmacy. It's always open. And the staff and, of course, management at MChem are always available there for you. Open 24 hours a day, free parking, coffee shop upstairs, There's an A team upstairs and multiple zones downstairs and upstairs, from the travel clinic to the orthopedic and surgical zone. There's the dispensary, there's the health zone. They've got, in fact, a fantastic cosmetic section as well. In fact, there's so many zones at MCAM, I tend to forget. But of course, there's also the sports supplement zone that is upstairs. Of course, folks, MCAM 24-hour pharmacy is the official pharmacy to Western Province Rugby. And if you don't know about this, they've got fantastic brands, excellent prices, and if they don't have a product, they will get it for you. But the good fact is that MCAM is always open 24/7. So if you're needing something in the middle of the night, if you need some advice, you need to buy something that maybe you didn't realize, well, you can just go down to MCAM in the middle of the night, any time of the day, and then there's going to be somebody there to help you. And of course, nursing sisters on duty as well. This is something that's really special. When you need help and you need to find a place that's open, MCAM is always there for you, because they are always open. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Don't go away. Right, welcome back everybody. Cape Rugby TV, in studio with me, Jerome Parwater, Western Province Rugby, and Jonathan van der Walt, former coach of False Bay, who are of course currently the Club Rugby champions. Western Province Club Rugby champions. Is it fair at this point to say everybody's a former coach, Jono, in your opinion? Or do we know now, for the clubs out there, have most of them made the decision on who's coaching their clubs next year?
It's silly season. So December, Jan, Feb, March, right up until cut-off will remain silly season. That's how club rugby is. So
yeah.
Even if it's true, don't believe everything you hear or see, because the bait gets thrown out long, far and wide, and it gets in the bulletin and in WhatsApp groups and all over. So until such time as you play your first friendlies and until the league starts, that's when everything is actually set in stone. That's how it is in Western Province Club Rugby. And also long may continue, because that's what makes it exciting. So I do know that there have been some appointments made by some clubs already. There are one or two clubs that are umming and ahhing, and there are some SLB clubs that are also getting their kind of off-season off to a start. So the nice thing is I've probably for the last 3-4 years or seasons have definitely seen and heard a lot more activity this time around compared to maybe the last 3 or 4 seasons before. So lots of clubs from SLA down are all out. They're hitting the beaches, the mountains, the gyms, the fields. They're doing what it takes to get their body right and ready for rugby come 2023. Yeah?
Jerome, what's the sort of the number now? If you think about management structures, if you think about clubs, they've got first team, second team, under 20s, 21s. If we just look at that, most clubs are supposed to have a minimum of 3 teams. Every team has got a coach, an assistant coach, a physio, a manager. What's the sort of the average numbers now of staff members that you would have at a club? I mean, when we talk about these things, and John is saying it's like still up in the wire, and I believe we're always thinking about maybe the first team coach. But there's probably another 7 or 8 or 10 or even more people from a management point of view behind the scenes. What's your average number of on-field type of administrators?
Look, if you look at certain clubs, like they obviously have a lot of coaches, because some clubs have 5 guys with the first team, they've got 3 guys with the second team, they've got maybe 2 guys with the third team, and I think the third teams are going to start playing again.
Yeah, some have got the reserve side.
And some has got a reserve side, some has got an under 20 side. So yeah, you can easily look at almost like 16 coaches at a club. But I also think a lot of clubs, and I think, John, or maybe you guys do that, I think a lot of clubs move away from all these coaches, because the first team coaches are actually the coaches. So you work with a big squad. So maybe you have 2 guys maybe at the second team, and then the rest of the coaches just fill in. But you don't need all that coaches anymore, because you have to work with a sort of a bigger squad, and I think that's the way forward, Jono.
Yeah, so we always are saying there's too many cooks. Spoil the broth. False Bay, we're a little bit privileged and fortunate, but I'll say privileged, fortunate, but we've built our way there. We'll have 27 coaches, but we've also got 11 teams. So it's seniors 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, under 20s, A's and B's. It's 8 teams, ladies 1 and 2, and you've got a jocks and a crocs. So you need guys there. One thing that our club would like to do is, as you get senior players who leave, you don't always want them to leave the fold to go somewhere. And so if some of them have got any kind of knack to coaching and want to give back to the club, we keep them involved. So you almost, in a sense, become a bit top-heavy in coaching, but as long as you're giving those guys a role and they're adding value in the club, then it's fine. And remember, it's all about giving back and volunteering and mentoring so that the club's in a better space. So every club has got their own little thing that they do. That's just one thing which False Bay did. So, but definitely if you have too many coaches, if you have an assistant coach for a coach who does an assistant, who has his assistant, who just has the clipboard, and then it becomes too much. So you do want to make sure that you simplify, but have someone that's giving a role, and maybe have a role for your entire club, maybe not just for the first team. So if you have a scrum coach, maybe give him a scrum coach of the whole club. If you have a breakdown coach, make him the breakdown of the whole club, not just of one team. So then you spread the love and the gears, JP.
Is that why you always travel with 4 buses? Because there's a whole management, just a bus full of management.
Right, folks, there we go. Let's take a look now at the rest of the chuckers here between John Rumpaf and John van der Walt are going to start talking the rugby things, and I'm going to get lost. Let's take a look at the second chucker between the club rugby players who are getting ready for next year and UWC. This feature was brought to you by MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy and Score Energy Drinks. This feature was brought to you by MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy and Score Energy Drinks. Right, just before the break we were talking about the club, pretty much to call it the club administration model, because I think in addition to things like coaches and physio and that, we also forget there's executive members, chairpersons, vice chairpersons, honorary presidents, secretary treasurers, development officers, relationship officers, and one of the things, of course, which most clubs should know, is that there's supposed to be a women's representative portfolio member. So you're talking about, in some cases, almost 20 club coaches, managers, etc., and then possibly another 10 or 15 members. So essentially talking about a management squad between 20 and 35 in a club rugby space, which for me is just quite remarkable. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But before we talk about it, as you know, Score is the Western Province Club Rugby Sevens partner, especially for the Score Western Province Club Rugby Sevens. And every week we give you an opportunity to win yourself a case of Score Energy Drinks. And every week we take a photograph from one of the matches, and we make a couple of changes, and we put it out for you on Facebook on our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/CapeRugbyTV, and we ask you to see if you can spot the ball. And in the studio with me, Jonathan van der Walt, Jerome Paardwater. Let's take a look. You have these options: A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3, C1, C2, C3. All right. Jerome, do you want to give it a go?
I'll go A2.
All right. Jonathan van der Walt.
I was liking A2 because of the way his eyes are, so we're a little bit different. We'll go A1.
You're looking for, you guys can look at the big screen if you want to. It's, I'm going to look at the big screen as opposed to the screen over there. Right, let me see that picture again. For those of you that missed it, they were A1, A2, John and Jerome are both saying A2 because of where they think the ball might be, because of the eyes. B1, B2, B3. So I'm just going to have one more look, because folks, you're going to see where I'm going to go with this one. Is if you look carefully, there's a spectator in the background with a blue tracksuit. Now his eyes are looking at B3. So I'm going to go with B3 on this one. So B3 is my choice. Jerome and John are going with see, I'm looking where the spectators looking. These photos are very sneaky. Let's take a look and see what's the result. And where's the ball? There we A1. All right, Jerome, these things are tricky every week.
Yeah, he mustn't follow the eyes anymore.
I don't follow the eyes anymore. We never know. All right, congratulations then to last week's winner, Nathan Hanekom. Nathan, you walk away with a case of Score energy drinks, and we'll be in touch with you on Facebook Messenger so you can come and collect your case of Score. Folks, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the final chukker between UWC and our club rugby guys who are getting ready for next year. Back in a sec. Right, welcome back everybody at Cape Rugby TV. Our clubs are preparing, of course, at the moment for next year. A lot of clubs busy with off-season training, and a lot of clubs are busy putting their sort of platforms in place. Jono, just before the break, we spoke about administrators and coaches. And you said things are still getting settled. In some cases, one or two clubs might know who they've got. But surely, just like your players, you want to know as early as possible who's going to be managing your club next year. I mean, you can't leave this kind of thing too late. Because it also synchronizes your coaches with your players. You want to know who your players are going to be for next year. But if you don't have your coaches and managers ready, then who's going to look after your players? So surely by now, everything should be locked down.
Yeah, look, I think most clubs have a very similar calendar. So around the November, December time, they'll all have their club AGMs. They'll all have their end-of-year functions, depending on when their leagues have ended and when rugby's ended. And then they'll have the AGMs, and they'll select the exco from there, and their players and the managers. So generally, most clubs' committees are pretty much battened down already. But there will still be one or two coaches and positions and certainly players where that's a work in progress, and that kind of happens every single day and month, pretty much all year round.
What about the other types of coaches that you got, like physios, for example, strength and conditioning coaches? We seem to now also be in a rugby phase that you don't just call the physio for the day. You want a physio that knows your players. You want strength and conditioning coaches who are going to work steadily through. They know the players, they know their history, they know their current body dynamics, their record and history of injuries and so on. It's not just about the rugby coaching. You need your call it your support team.
All of it's part of the system, but we must also understand, besides us being amateur in club rugby, that's also quite a luxury here, JP. So S&C and physio obviously come at a cost. Yes, you're always trying to get the intern and somebody who's learning, which is how we've always done it throughout all the time. Is you rather get an intern who's studying, learning, and that's how somebody gets better. You know, the more times that they spend as rugby team strapping guys, after 5 or 6 years of strapping, they'll eventually know what to do. So, but not all teams can afford and have the luxury of a physio, of an S&C. But that's where it's up to the coaches to empower themselves, to make sure that they're knowledgeable. And as a coach, we're always learning. You know, from the time you're 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, barefoot playing rugby until the time you go to your grave, you're pretty much always learning about this game. So, as coaches, you must learn about the basic physio S&C, about the basic fundamentals of trying to get your players ready in terms of a physical shape, even if you don't have gym or don't have weights. And you can certainly learn how to strap certain players in important position, do your stretches, important pre-ab and rehab, if you don't have the luxury of having physio and S&C. But if you do, it's a vital part of your whole system, and it's very important to have your players ready to take the field of play.
Strength and conditioning playing a critical role now in pre-season and of course match times. Let's take a look at the third chukker now between the Western Province Club Rugby squad and UWC. And we'll of course catch up with some of the players as well. This feature was brought to you by MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy and Score Energy Drinks.
Ja nee, definitief. Yes, het is een eer om hier te wees. Eerste keer voor mij bij de groep en het is een wonderlijke experience. Ik kan definitief niet klagen. Ik meen, was nooit te veel rugby voor mij niet. So, het is net een blessing om te kunnen spelen, game te genieten. Dus ja, nee, het is definitief baie nice om hier te wees. Ja nee, dis eintlik vreemd. Jy kom hier aan, jy sien die ouens en weer gespeel het deur die liga, 'n paar ouens wat jou 'n bietjie beter gekry het op die veld en so aan. En dan binne die eerste 2-3 sessies dan maak jy sulke goeie vinnige bande met die guys. So nee, dit is baie nice, ek moet sê. En van my langtermyn vriende kom van die rugby clubs af. So ja, nee, dis definitief goeie vriendskappe wat 'n mens hier opbou. Ja, yes, nee, dit is 'n wonderlike manier om die jaar af te sluit met 'n bietjie van 'n kontaksessie. Jy oefen vir 6 na 8 weke aan een en jy weet ons rugby spelers ons wil 'n bietjie die skouers losmaak en 'n bietjie kontak vat. So nee, dit is definitief baie lekker geweest. Ja, as ek sê, is eintlik net geseënd om bietjie die game te kan geniet nog.
Yeah, no, 100%. Look, to be honest, it's great to be back again, being in the blue and white hoops, in the setup again. You know, 2 years, like you said, it's been a long time, but we're back. We're hungry. The guys are looking good. We had a great session out now, so we're really enjoying it. Yeah, no, of course we could see it on the field. We literally, like I said, obviously coming Monday and Wednesdays, all of that sessions, we showed it out here today, and it was really great. The rugby that I saw, not backing down in contact. I don't think we did a lot of contact sessions, but the sessions the session that we had now against UWC was really great. Obviously the turnout for us was really good. The numbers was great. 70, 80 guys here having a good run. Everyone got a chance to play, if I'm not mistaken, and that's the amazing part about it. We all got a chance to play, and yeah, that's all that matters. We just had a good session. Yeah, no, definitely we're going to enjoy the festive, but we also have to put in sessions now and then. We're starting again early Jan, so yeah, we want to be ready for that for that new year, so that when the season starts, we're running full steam. So yeah, let's see how it goes.
This feature was brought to you by MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy and Score Energy Drinks. Right, welcome back. Jerome, just before we looked at these players there, we had quite a lot of talk around strength and conditioning. You now got the players into the squad there. But when we spoke before the show, and we spoke about this last week, you said that the remarkable difference that you're seeing now is the strength and condition of the players.
Yeah, it's definitely, you can see after the 6 weeks now, And I mean, we didn't do a lot of rugby specific stuff. It was just gym, running, and basic skills. But you can see, and I mean, it's good to also have the feedback of the coaches. I spoke after the sort of the chuckers with Ismail Dolly, and he said, yeah, he was surprised to see where the players are at for this time of the season. So it really helps. And as I said in the beginning, what helps is sometimes some clubs get 10, 12 guys at the training session. We always have 70 guys, and they compete, and this program was really good for all of them. And I mean, most of the club coaches are very happy.
Jono, this must make your heart warm as a club rugby coach to see players that have come through the club rugby ranks to get experience. I mean, you've been at the High Performance Centre, you've been involved at all these levels, you've been involved at the highest level, but it must, as a coach, someone who's been nurturing players day in and day out, and through the leagues as well. I mean, for you to see as a coach your players in Jerome's environment at the High Performance Centre, that must be nice.
It's super special, and one thing also just to add on what Jerome says, it's amazing how you can put 40, 50, 60, 70 people in a competitive environment, and then you see what happens after just 6 weeks. And I'll tell you, one, it's a lesson for all clubs, is that if you can create an environment that is competitive and where guys want to be better and better all the time and beat the guy next to them, you're going to just create a much better product. So well done again to all those club guys to kind of end of the year. They're obviously the lucky ones who weren't injured and aren't carrying injuries, but they had a good hard 6 weeks, and it's only going to benefit their rugby for next year. Just make sure that they mustn't go and undo all the good 6 weeks that they've gone and done in the next week or two. But very, very lucky to see and pleasing.
Jonathan van der Walt, it's been a pleasure having you back in the studio, and I certainly hope I'll be able to catch you still before the close of the year.
I'll always be around, JP. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, it depends on whether you're not paddling in your boat somewhere, kayaking, or busy with your social scene, but it's been great to have you in the studio. We're absolutely privileged, and I just want to also say thank you. In fact, I mentioned this to your team at the awards dinner, the amount of availability that you as a person, as a coach, have put available to talk about your club over the last 3 years on Club Rugby TV, and even before that, but specifically in the last 2 years, has been, we have a debt of gratitude to you, and I think that your club that you stem from is lucky to have you. We'll leave it at that. We'll say good night to you, and Jerome, thank you very much as well.
Yeah, thank you, JP. It's always a pleasure, and yeah, and just to that club guys, they know now, and to the club coaches, that they still have a program that they have to follow till the 11th of January when you come back again.
Yeah, folks, well, it's been an interesting last 3 minutes of the show, and I will leave you with this thought as to whether or not you measure your coaches on how many games they win, or do you measure your coaches on how happy their players are. We'll see you again next week, same time, same place. Have a fantastic rugby weekend. Bye-bye.